I really think that people should have a backup plan because all my life I was like, I'm gonna be a surge tech. Then I got into counseling. And I went through that whole entire season, which was slow because I had to pay for it myself. And I didn't want to take out a bunch of student loans because I did that the first time. I didn't want to do it the second time. So it took me many years. By the time I graduated, I couldn't be a counselor because you had to have your master's, and I wasn't going to go get my master's. So then I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And that's how I ended up in case management. It was hard for me to start everything, but I just had to jump. And I wanted to show my kids that you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very uncomfortable. You're going to have a lot of fear. But once you jump and you do it, you're going to find out that that thing is going to be something that you love so much. Welcome to Silent No Longer, where your past is a chapter and not the whole book. I'm Mesha, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a safe, judgment-free space for anyone who has lived through toxic or abusive relationships and is ready to heal. I know what it's like to feel trapped, unheard, and unseen. Through faith and healing, I found my way forward, and now my purpose is to help others do the same. Here we share real stories of resiliency, growth, and transformation from people who have walked through trauma and come out stronger. My hope is that you'll be reminded that you are not alone, your past does not define you, and healing is possible. If you're ready to take the next step, you can learn more in my book, Behind Closed Doors, or schedule a free clarity call with me. Today's guest has a powerful story of resiliency, perseverance, and refusing to give up, no matter what life put in his way. From a very young age, he faced obstacles and challenges that could have easily broken him, but instead they became the fuel that pushed him forward. He is the author of the book, Adapt and Advance, where he shares his personal journey along with practical guidance for everyone who has ever felt knocked down, discouraged, or stuck. His message is simple but powerful. Failure doesn't mean he failed. It means you're learning how to rise stronger. Thank you for being here today, Dr. Woolley.
Me today. I'm really excited to be here today on your show. And like I just said, I'm really happy to share my story, hopefully to inspire somebody to keep going and not to give up.
Yes, I am so excited to hear your entire story and let the audience hear your story because it's pretty amazing. So, can we just start with you just telling the audience where it all begins?
Yeah, so I always say the 360-degree view of my life is um, I was born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria, and my mother used to be a nurse, my father a pharmacist. And the most defining event of my life, which I shared in the book I wrote, is the fact that I lost my mom at the age of 7. And it was a big loss at that time, but it was a little bit manageable because my father was loving and was available for us after she died. So he took very good care of us, remarried like I think 1 or 2 years later, and life continued in the absence of mom. But the bigger one happened at the age of 13 when dad also died. So that was the big one. I call it the big, not that it was more important than mom, or the fact that now it's the two of them. So that's really what makes it bigger. The first one, when it was the mom, it was just one person. So at least the other person still tried his best to, be there to make up for the absence of the other one, tried his best to be loving, to be caring. But now when it's the two of them that are gone, then it really was very tough. It's kind of threw us into the open world to try and survive, to try and so a lot happened both before and after, and slowly we kept trying to I tried my best to find my feet, to try to see what I could make out of life. And I always describe it as running. I kept, trying to run away from the trauma, tried to keep moving, trying to find a way that will move me towards the right path. So finally, I was able to get into medical school in Nigeria. I was able to finish medical school in Nigeria, able to do my master's in public health, then transition to the United States after working for a little bit, and did my PhD in the United States, did my residency in psychiatry in the United States, and currently a psychiatrist. So all of my life put together, is what I summarized in this book, Adapt and Advance. And the
Mhm.
reason I chose that title was just because I I've always had a burning desire in my heart growing up. Like I want my story to be a blessing to other people. And if you look at the first section of my book, which is meaning making, it describes how um how we can make meaning of what we are going through. So for me, one of the ways I made meaning, which was number one way I wrote in the book, based on the theory of Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, is to use our lives to.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say I absolutely love your book. I listen to it on audiobook because I drive a lot, and when I was listening to it in the car, I'm like, "Oh, I wanna go through the questions." Because 'Cause I'm driving, I can't do that. So I actually bought the actual paperback book so I could do the questions and things. Um, the last year, I have been through a healing journey myself, but also trying to figure out who I am, making my own goals, figuring out my purpose that God wants me to have, and I've been on that journey, and so your book, when I was listening to it, I was kind of in the middle of it all, and so it really hit home to me. It was perfect timing for the book, actually. Mhm. 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 Yep. Mhm. Yes. Yes. Mhm. Mhm. Mm. Mhm. 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 Yeah, I agree. That's actually on my goal list is to listen or read 1 book a month this year. Yeah, 'cause I feel you have to keep learning to keep your mind going too. It's really important. Especially I feel with all the social media and stuff, it's just so easy just to get sucked into nothingness, you know? You have to keep your brain sharp. My grandpa and grandma always told me that you have to keep working your brain or you're gonna get Alzheimer's, and I don't know if that's true or not, but that always stuck into my head. And my grandpa had Alzheimer's, so I was like, "Alright, I gotta keep learning. Let's keep my mind sharp." Mhm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, so one thing I loved about your book is how, um, you kept talking about how you were taking your test and then you wouldn't pass and you never gave up and you just kept going until you succeeded. Can you kinda walk us through, like, how you were feeling during that time? Because a lot of people, you know, they if they didn't pass that test once, they're gonna get, you know, so down on themselves. I know I would probably do that, but what kept you motivated to keep going and keep pushing and not never giving up until you reached your goal? Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mhm. 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 Yeah. Mhm. 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 Yeah. Um, so I also I love how you broke it all down first, let me say that. Um, but I love how you made it a teaching moment for your kids, because I feel like my journey, like all the things that I've been through, because I went to school for surge tech and I was in my last classes getting ready to go into the actual program and I was in a bad car accident. And I missed one class I missed by 3%, and I had to have that class so I could go into the program. But since I didn't pass that class, I couldn't go into the program. And then the next year, I couldn't go into it because they had all the nursing students who couldn't get into the nursing program go into the surg tech program, so then it was full. So and it was there was all these stipulations and things that you had to make, and I wasn't gonna get in. So I felt like all those years of hard work when my kids were babies and I was working full time just like you, and it's very hard, but I took it as, um, it wasn't the right path for me, you know, it was like God was stopping me from going on that path, but I learned that later. That's how I looked at it, but at the time, because there was just so much other stuff going on in life and I was in a really bad relationship, I felt like the whole situation, it was just, like, the worst thing that could ever happen, and I fell hard. I was, like, in a major depression for, like, 4 years, and I was in so much pain from the car accident, and after I started feeling a little better and, um, getting out of the relationship and starting to feel better about myself and getting around the right people to build me up, I was like, "Okay, well, let's figure out what the backup plan is," because I didn't have one, and I think that was my biggest thing. I really think that people should have a backup plan because all my life, I was like, "I'm gonna be a surg tech." Then I got into counseling, and I went through that whole entire, season, which was slow because I had to pay for it myself, and I didn't wanna take out a bunch of student loans because I did that the first time, I didn't wanna do it the second time, so it took me many years. By the time I graduated, I couldn't be a counselor because you had to have your master's, and I wasn't gonna go get my master's. So then I was like, "Well, what am I gonna do now?" And that's how I ended up in case management, which I absolutely love. So I feel like it all worked out. Um, but with my goals that I have now, like it was hard for me to start everything, but I just had to jump. And I wanted to show my kids that you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be very uncomfortable. You're gonna have a lot of fear, but once you jump and you do it, you're gonna find out that that thing is gonna be something that you love so much. 'Cause I can Go ahead. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Mhm. Mm. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Yes. Most definitely. Um, I could sit here and talk to you all day about this, but is there anything else that you want to share to the audience that you think is very important that you haven't shared yet? Mhm. Yes. Y Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yes, I love that. And the list that you do every morning, don't think you have to start out doing it all at one time. 'Cause, I know some people, if they were to hear your list, they might be like, "Oh, that's a lot all at one time to do at one time." You can start with one thing. I mean, improvement is just starting with one thing at a time. Yeah. Yep. Yes, always do. Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Oh, no, I wasn't saying that you were, but, um, I know me, I get overwhelmed because I put too much on my plate. Maybe I don't, but I feel like I do. So then I put a lot of pressure on myself that I have to do all these things, and then I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do all these things, I only did one thing." But don't be hard on yourself if you only do the one thing. That's one thing that you did do, just do better the next day. Work at the next thing and work your way up, and then it'll get easier and easier as you keep working at it, so mm. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed our time. Um, I'm like a complete nerd when it comes to this stuff, so I could hear you talk all day, so Mm. If today's episode spoke to your heart, be sure to follow me and follow Silent No Longer so you never miss a new episode filled with healing and hope. Please share this episode with someone who may need to hear it. You never know the impact it could have. If you're ready to take the next steps in your own healing, you can take my free quiz to see if you may be in a toxic relationship. Schedule a free clarity call with me or read my story in Behind Closed Doors. Thank you for listening to Silent No Longer. Your story isn't over and healing is possible.